Okay, good afternoon. We had a few technical difficulties here, so the people in class have been here for 45 minutes while we resolve them. So what today we're going to try to do is go through the simulation models that you worked on and just sort of look at them, look at some of your assumptions, look at how you looked at the problem. And so any feedback, obviously in class, will be a little bit easier. Unless you guys offline yell really loud, we probably won't hear you. But you could email back if they have any suggestions or any input that you'd like to share, and then we can present that in the next class period. So, okay. So first up is TJ, and he did a DMV model. Gotta come up here. Gotta speak in proximity of the microphone. Actually, you can see.
Okay. Are we back on the air?
Okay.
Click to pause
All right,
video
so we're
capture.
recording now.
Okay.
Today is the
Round
day
two.
of technical difficulties. Just to make one point on this is a good simulation. First off, it's a good practical application. Everybody can understand it, so it's good from that standpoint. The one thing we found is that if you can click on one of your processes. So where the action on the resource, TJ had it initially as delay, and instead of C as delay release. The delay doesn't really work well with just standard processes. You can use it with advanced processes, but it doesn't really take into account the time of process, and doesn't allow you to, it won't build a queue, which in reality is what would happen, right? If you're processing, if your entities are coming in faster than you can process them, you'll build a queue or a line, which if you've been to DMV, you're familiar with. So at least for what we're doing now, use on any process step like this, for the action or logic action on the resource, use C as delay release. It will also prompt you for a resource. In this case, he just took the default, which just is resource 1. Normally you would rename that to something that would give you some insight, okay? So now when he runs it, he's got, and go back to the customer interest just for a second if you would.
The customer interest?
Yes, so if he's got 0.5 hours between parts coming in, which makes sense, and that made sense from the data, and he's processing them with a triangular distribution of between 0.5 and 1.5 with a 1 hour median or midpoint. So when it runs, it does build a queue because you're bringing them in faster than you can process them. And you'd see that more. You don't see it all that much here, and you will cure that queue or deplete it, and that's because you have effectively 2 processes in parallel, right? He's got the decide module going 50-50 license application and license renewal. So effectively you have 2 processes for one set of customers coming in. If it was just one, you'd overload that queue immediately. So all you're seeing here is the variation in the 2 statistical distributions that he's using. The normal on the entrance and the triangular on the processing. So, okay, so that's the 3rd time you've done that. That's a good job actually. That was a good presentation, a good simulation. Okay, so I guess what we'll do is stop this and then get another one up here. And who wants to go next?
I'll do it. Work right.
Okay, it's all yours. Maybe you can zoom out a little bit so we can see it better.
All right. Here it is.
So what are you trying to simulate? Let's start with that.
It's like a restaurant. You enter the door, and then you have two places to order, and the decider decides which place to order. Because normally when you go in a restaurant, there's two places to order. It's like a fast food. And then it goes to how fast your food is made, and then it's splits it to made fast or made slow, because some days, they take slow amount of time to do it. And then it goes to another decider, and it says order is right or wrong, and if it's right, you get your food, and if it's wrong, it sends it back and you reorder.
Okay. Okay. So what'd you pick for your distributions? Let's just start at the beginning and sort of go through that.
Well, I tried to use this because I thought it was going to be like the minimum amount of people that would come in at a time is like 3, and the max would be like 10, and the most was like 7. I thought that's what that made. Yeah.
Sort of the inverse of that.
Oh.
That's saying that the people, somebody will come in every 7 minutes, most probably, but as little as 3 and as much as 10. So it's sort of the opposite way of looking at it.
Well, it still works though for a restaurant standpoint, middle of the day.
Yeah, that's fine. And you're constraining how long this will run by your max arrivals there?
Mm-hmm.
How did you do it, TJ? I didn't look at that. How did you get it to stop, or you didn't? You just let it run until you got tired of looking at it?
It just ran till
Yeah, I
it
told it 100.
Yeah, so that's one way to stop it. There's other ways too, but you can put in the max number of arrivals. That'll stop the
You can't change anything because you haven't hit stop yet.
yeah, go up and hit stop. There you go. So the key on running these things is you want to run it till you get statistical validity. And we'll look at yours maybe in a minute, see if you've got that one. So that's a constant 1 minute. Seize, delay, release, right? Right. And you use the same resource on both. Which you can do, but then you're sharing that resource between the two.
So I need to change it.
Well, normally you would, yeah. I mean, normally we'd have separate resources in 2 different stations. You can do it, it's not wrong, it's just, depending on how you schedule that resource, it'll impact both processes. If you have one resource for each.
So is that what you wanted?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's still really not building up.
Well, you gotta go back through your times and see why, if that's what you're, trying to do. If you go to the order process, so that's 50/50?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one over here is 75%. 75% chance they'll get it right.
Okay,
And this one's 50/50.
okay. And go to order, see what's your situation now? Seize, delay, release, take order. And your time is a constant 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you go back to enter for a second, you're getting parts in every 7 minutes, most commonly, right, or most probably.
Yeah.
So that is you can easily satisfy that with a 1 minute order time, especially with 2 processes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to change the 3 though too.
Get in there.
I don't think that's gonna work.
Well, the middle one's the mode, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not sure you can have a triangular distribution wouldn't be triangular.
Okay. Could be.
It'd be a rhombus or something. Yeah, so now you're starting to fill cues. Okay, so that's good. So just looking at this, a couple things you can do with this, because the next thing we're going to do is basically just expand on what we've done here. Did you speed it up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there a way to, like, let's say the queues are in, like, order 1, if it's filled up, to make it go into the other one?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Cause that would make more sense for.
That's right, I was just gonna say, that's one thing you could do would be, instead of having this, click on the side module, if you would, John. So that's two-way by chance, you gotta stop it again. Yeah, go click on that again.
Two-way by N.
Two-way, yeah, N-way or two-way, by condition. If you wanted three, it's N, or N is, I'm not sure how many you can have, but at least 4 or 5, 6 maybe. Coming out of that, instead of just having 2 paths out, you could have up to, I think 5 or 6, for sure. But you could do a two-way by chance, and then look ahead at the Q, right? That Q is a variable, a system variable that you can look at, and say if Q1 is less than Q2, go to Q1, else go to Q2. It's like an if-else statement, logical statement. But that's good, what you did there is good. That's what we're trying to get to. Somehow you lost your true path there. Put a connector in there. There you go. Okay, good. All right. We're recording again. Okay.
All right, so I did my process that I sort of went through at my internship that I had. The order would come in, and then we'd have they had a system of whether it was firm or approval. Firm being that they were definitely going to make it, or approval was just like they'd send it back to the customer and figure out if they did want to make it. So that's the decider's 50-50, and it goes in and just basically runs through the process of going to the customer and then figuring out if they want to do it or they need to rework, or same thing on the bottom, the next level, pushing it on to the next process or more rework. So mine.
But so your rework again, it still leaves the system.
Yeah. I couldn't name it the same, and I didn't think to put the two going into the same one.
Okay.
So it's the same place. It's just
Okay.
two separate. I had to set this. Let's stop this. I had to set this. I had trouble with it. I had to set my max arrival to 50 because any more than 50 come up with that error, and that's
Right.
probably something I did.
Well, it's
Into
not
here.
something. It's not something that you did really, other than the distributions you selected.
Mm-hmm.
So for whatever reason, I mean, as those distributions run, right, you're going to get varying values, right? If you've got 2 different distributions, they can be at different places.
Uh-huh.
And within more than, if you put 100, the probability is that those 2 are going to be in a place where you're going to get more than 150, I think, entities in the system.
Yeah.
Meaning as your queue's filled up.
Okay.
So in your queues, plus what you have in process is greater than 150. So when you get that, what you want to do is to go back and either look at how fast things are coming into the system,
Mhm.
or how fast they're being processed. And there's a incompatibility there. That's really
Gotcha.
what it comes down to. So it's not you did something wrong, it's that there's an incompatibility between your, and that's why you want to run these things until you've got a statistically valid answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because, what if you just pick 50 and you say, okay, this is gonna work? But then if you run it with more than 50, it crashes. So you need to get to
Yeah.
a point where, like your arrivals, you wanna be up in the thousands probably. 1,000 replications at least to get a statistically valid answer. And go to reports, it should give, you probably won't have any statistically valid, but, again, there's one of these stats. So go to, click on category overview, see what that shows us, if anything. So that just gives us our system, our number out. So did you have 3 coming in at a time?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why it's 150. You had 50, you ran it 50 times,
Mhm.
and you had 3 coming in at each. Okay. So go by replication. Let's just go down through and we'll see if we see anything of interest. Yeah, so there your half width comes down to your statistical validity. If this is insufficient, you don't have sufficient, you've not run it a sufficient number of times for it to be statistically valid. To come up and tell you when it is, so that's just something to look at. Look at half width and make sure that you're statistically valid, and you got a reasonable chance you've got some good answers there. Good. Click on entities. Let's just see what else we've got. So total time. It depends a lot on your. This one's hard to see a lot just because of the way the numbers are set up. But you look at this and look at things like transfer time and wait time and compare it to total time, just to get. And Q's might give you that if you go to Q's. That's the next. So there you've got approval, wait time in your approval and in your firm queue, number of waiting. The kind of stuff you want to look at depends a lot on your process. I think I mentioned this before, but if you had a fast food restaurant, you're probably okay if you get your food in 5 minutes. But if you get it in, 3 hours, you're probably already have left. So the outliers can become important depending on what your process is. In a manufacturing operation, that may not be a major impact. You may be more concerned about how many entities I can get through my system in a given amount of time. Where with a fast food, that's important, but it also may be more important that I don't have any outliers where I've got, what's normally 3 minutes takes 3 hours. So that's something we'll poke around a little bit with too. So, okay. Well, that's good. You go up the window, you can get back to your, yeah, you guys are doing good. Okay. You just click on documents and go to the file manager. Go to. That's fine. If you go to where it said Miller, go to the one on the left. And just back up
There we
one,
go.
you'll be there.
Okay. For mine, I simulated a block plant. Over here, it's where the materials come in. They enter the mixer and then they're mixed. This is done at a triangular distribution. It cannot create a queue because the mixer controls how the materials are mixed or brought in at a certain rate. That way it doesn't overflow. After that, it goes into the forming machine. That takes usually about a minute at most to form it. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it into multiple blocks because it overloads the system. After that, it goes across the line and it's inspected. I have a 99% pass rate because that is the pass rate that we actually have at the plant that I worked at. They are then transported to the kiln and left to be heated overnight. At the same time that this is going on, you have the materials that were in the kiln from yesterday being brought out to make room. They're inspected. We have a 99.5% pass rate at this point. Usually when they fail, it would be because of a crack due to the heat or an error in the forming. They're then sent to the cuber. There's a cubing and banding. For this example, I done a 5x5x4 cube, and then they're sent out to the yard for storage.
So you used a batch module there.
Yeah.
Just double click on that just to see what that's. Okay, so you're not really doing a process on it, you're just batching it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because after the blocks come out, we have to
they're
cube
done,
them
right,
to
yeah,
the.
that's fine.
And here, I'll let it.
And then that's how they're shipped. Now that becomes the entity, is the batch.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that cube.
yeah.
Now we can sell them as individual, but they're stored as a batch
Yep.
or as a cube to be sold.
You can see that building
Most
up.
of the
When it
way.
gets to 100, it goes away.
Yeah, it sends it on through.
That's a useful. That's a useful module.
Yeah, as I said, unfortunately, when it came to the forming, I wasn't able to split it into 3 or 4 separate entities
Yeah.
as we would really, because it overloads the system. Because you get
Well,
more
you
than
could-
150.
In that case,
going.
you'd probably batch them and then unbatch them to inspect them, right? Would you inspect them in a batch, or would you inspect them individually?
They're inspected. It goes along as a set of 3 or 4, but
Yeah.
each individual block is inspected in that way. But they're done that way.
I mean, that's just another, in some app, I don't know if this is valid for this, but in some applications, you can batch them, do a process on the batch, then unbatch them, and then do processes on individual blocks, or whatever the part is.
But yeah, unfortunately, it came out to so many in the system that it overloads this, but in reality, it's
Yeah.
possible.
That is a shortcoming of the student version. You can usually work around it, but sometimes it makes it tough to debug,
Yeah.
because you just wind up with too many entities in the system.
Which I had mine run to 1,000, but
Right. So let's look at the, look at some of the reports maybe.
yeah. I'm gonna go through. I didn't let it finish on that.
It looks like everybody found the run speed button, right? It's useful sometimes if you've got some logic that you're trying to sort out.
When I rented at the house, I rented at 10,000 my first time. I just got tired of waiting.
So you got 1,000 out.
Yeah.
You can go, I forget what's on the second page. Go up on, there you go. There we go. Yeah, so you, for whatever reason, entity one was correlated in terms of value added time, but not non-value added time, and correlated in transfer time. I'm not really sure why. But for whatever reason, those are correlated. So when you get those, that means you're statistically valid,
Okay.
effectively. Oh, that's good. That's good. Impressed. You're
I don't have
not there yet,
no.
right? Well, you got them on a bus ride this weekend, right? So
Yeah.
We go back to file.
Yeah, go to File Manager. Just down
Oh,
at the
File
bottom.
Manager.
There you go. Back and go to the one on the left. Back up one. Get the arrow up there on the left. All the way up to the corner.
Everything's really small.
Up here.
That's the computer screen.
Oh, desktop?
No, just go to the arrow just to back up one on the.
Oh,
Up
okay.
there. There you go. Now just click on. Get your name, get your. Well, that's not good. I put it in there. You just sent it to me. I just saw it a minute ago. And we have more technical difficulties.
Might have to go through the download folder. and find
Let me
it.
see.
Let me stop this thing for a second. Okay, good.
Okay, put in 2 processes to make a shaft. Got raw stock coming in. Then we're going to mill the shaft, and then we're going to cut splines in the shaft. And then we're going to check specifications on it. And if they're good, we're going to ship it. If they're not good, we're going to rework it. Okay. What I really would have liked to have done is done a 3-way on check specifications and sent. If it was, the shaft was too big, then we could rework it. But if it's too small, we just scrap it because
Right.
But
Well, I think you could click on that. Let's just take a look at what's available on the side monitor. And there you can do. I think you can do N-way by. Click on the type there.
in way by condition.
Yeah, so you could do N-way by chance or N-way by condition. If you do it by So this is a good example here. So if you did it by condition, you would want to assign an attribute to the entities that came through. You'd have a block where you would assign the entity an attribute, and that could be oversized or undersized.
Right.
And then you would, in your decide module, say, okay, if it's undersized, it's scrapped. If it's oversized, it gets reworked.
Right. That's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.
That's okay. Okay, and you were using C's delay release,
Yes.
same as. Good. And what? So, okay, so triangular again, and that's. Yeah. Good.
Resource was a lathe, and then the next one be a milling machine
Yep.
to cut the splines.
And then I don't know if you assigned. Actually, click on resources over there on the left. And your resources will pop up here. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go to basic process. That's the report thing. Click on the basic process, expand out. Now bring
Go
it
down to resources.
Yeah. That was the wrong place. So click on resource, and it'll pop up with your lathe capacity. So you can, just another thing you can do with that, again, just sort of expanding this and making it sort of, closer to reality. If you go to where it says fixed capacity there, under type, yeah, there you go. Just click either one of those, fine. Click on that, and then click on based on schedule.
Okay.
And then you can establish a schedule for it. Now, we sort of did this backwards. You gotta go to schedule. So pull the arrow down over on the left here. Back over here where it says resource.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pull that arrow down. Pull that slider down.
All this.
Yeah, and then click on schedule.
Okay.
So it defaulted, you picked schedule 1, that's what you called it. So it defaulted to that. And if you go over to durations, over on the right side there, on that. Double click. Yeah, double click that. There you go. Should run out of new X out of that. I'm not sure if that's, maybe I got you in the wrong place here. Go to capacity, double click on that. Go ahead and put arrival. Let's try. Double click that. Here we go. I'm not sure why we're not getting the schedule popping up is what I'm looking for. Let me just click around that. I'm sort of lost where I am here. That's fine. They might have changed this. This is the new version. It's the first time I'm looking at it. The way I had done this in the past was it gives you a graphic right here. All right, I'm gonna have to take a look at this. I think they might have changed the way you had a schedule, but ultimately what you get to is a graphic that you can change capacity or arrival times or whatever based on hours of the day or whatever you might want to choose. But I'm not sure why I'm not getting that. Well, I'll come back to that. But that's another thing you can do, either on typically on arrival time. And then you'd match your resources to that. So you get the two so they line up. You go ahead and run it, see what it does.
Uh-oh.
Did you ever get that before?
No, I had it running.
So hit find, all the way down at the bottom. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So click, get rid of the type, instead of based on schedule, go back to what you had. Just use fixed capacity. Well, go. Let me play with that one. Just messing around with it. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead and get it thrown.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's working. Hit find again, see what it is this time. Oh, okay.
I think it's
Time.
quick changes, so it's confused.
I had everything else in minutes.
We're not calling the schedule. Go back to resource. We're not calling that schedule, so I'm not sure why it cares.
Resource.
Yeah. Maybe go to schedule, see if you can delete that, because I don't know why it's looking at the schedule if it's saying fixed capacity, but go back to schedule. Oh, yeah, up there, there you go. And see if you can just get rid of that. Delete that one. Hit delete, man. I think I've messed you up good. All right, let's just exit this.
Maybe
Go up to
you
file,
just
close.
it and reopen it,
Yeah, go up to file, close, and just reopen it.
unless it's some chance been saved and then it might have to be re-downloaded from you, you know?
Okay, so
It's opening back up. on
Yeah,
everybody
go back
else's.
up and go to file, open. Should give you the option. There you go. So you click on the top one there. And now click on run and see what happens.
Yeah, it's saved. You'll have to re-download it from the email.
Yeah. Well, it's still in downloads. Let's just grab it from download. And just go
I'll
to,
need to go
yeah, go to file. There you go. Click that.
It's probably.
Yeah, grab that. Backup. That's weird.
Yeah.
And that's older than what you had. I don't know why they put that in download. That's very strange.
Here it goes.
Oh, anyway. Okay, so you're building queues. Looks like that first one may cause you to go off eventually. So just click yes to see the results. And it'll run you through. You got 2,000 through the system. And you can just sort of go through that. There's 5 pages to that.
It's
That little arrow up there at the top. Right up there. A little higher.
all this.
No, to the left.
All
To the left. One more. There you go. Just brings you to the next page of it. So you got one that correlated, so you had a good. So some of the stuff you look at on this is the variation you're getting, like your transfer time for whatever reason went from 0 to 6.8. So is that okay? If it is, that's fine. Depends again on the process, but that's the kind of thing you look at. see what's on the next one. Again, those are correlated waiting time. Again, somewhat reasonable variation. You might look at the bottom, you've got a minimum of 0 waiting, maximum of 110 waiting. So for a manufacturing operation, that may be just fine. But for a fast food restaurant or for an emergency clinic, probably not. But for manufacturing, that's not uncommon, that to have a queue that would bounce around like that. So just your usage again. And then just what made it through each process. So. Okay, that's good. I thought everybody did a good job on this. I'm looking forward to seeing the ones that the online folks did. But I thought you guys all did a good job, so thank you. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple things to this. I want to sort out that schedule thing. I'm not sure if I was just forgetting how I used it or if they've changed it in this version, but I'll figure that out, put that on the video, add that to this video. I should talk to the microphone. Add that to this video. The other thing I'll throw out there, I'll look at setting an attribute for an entity. A couple places you can use that. A bunch of you had rework loops in your processes. In a real world rework loop, you'd want to maybe only have a couple of possibilities going through. If you have a defective part, you use the example of an undersized shaft. If you just keep kicking that into a rework loop, it's never going to be right? So you want to have a method of getting rid of it. So you say, okay, I'm going to let you go through twice. If you're still not right after 2 times through, you get disposed. Okay? So that's just, I just want to add a couple additional tools that you can use with this. So I'll throw those in there. And then what I would suggest or what I would ask is that, what I'd ask is watch the video because I want to look at the ones from the other students and see if I see anything there. But assuming they were about the same as yours, which I anticipate they will be, I'd ask you to sort of update yours a little bit and look a little bit closer at things like using schedules, at looking at your distributions and see if they do appear to be reality. I'd ask you to test your system a little bit because that's one of the things you want to do with simulation is sort of break the system in a simulation mode rather than in a real world mode. So if you get a sudden influx of entities, what does that do to your performance? And is that acceptable to the process you've chosen, right? I'm not sure what an acceptable processing time at DMV is. Actually, I have to tell you, West Virginia's DMV is a lot better than a lot of other states I've been to in terms of getting in and out. So
Well, I'm from Virginia. So
you're fortunate. Yeah, I don't know about Virginia. New Jersey and New York are both significantly more time to get through. But anyway, what is your acceptable level? You know, and again, it really depends on what you're simulating. You know, manufacturing processes have their own unique attributes to them or characteristics to them, as does everything else. So I'll get this out probably tomorrow night, and if not tomorrow night, certainly Friday. And then, so you have a little bit of time to take a look at it. Obviously, you can skip the stuff, you folks at least, can skip the stuff that you saw as you were here. And then any other additional stuff I want to add to the models, we'll go with on that. So, and so the plan is basically with this is we're just going to do this type of stuff. We're just going to build models. We're going to pick them apart. These were really good to start off with, I have to tell you. They ran. You got a good mastery of the software, so that's good. But we'll just keep getting more complex and throwing more wrinkles in to get. And the purpose of that is not to make life difficult. The purpose of that is to better simulate a physical world, right? So things like schedules. You know, that's a perfect example. In a fast food restaurant, at 3 a.m., you don't have the same number of people there as you do at noon, right? So you flex your resources based on your demand. And some places are easier to do that than others. But that's why you use things like schedules. It just makes it easier to, to better, or not really easier, but it allows you to better simulate the real world, the physical world that you're working in. So, all right, so again, I apologize for the technical issues. Good job on, at least for you folks that are here in class. We haven't looked at the other ones yet, but good job on this. I thought you guys did a really good effort, so. Okay, we'll see you next time.